and we all have our 15 minutes of fame, and I'd like to take a couple of my 15 minutes to talk about the rights and the wrongs in the world of professional wrestling.
For the WWE Championship.
This match is for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship.
For the World Heavyweight Championship.
The match and new NWA Heavyweight Champion.
We appreciate you guys coming out and taking your time to support women's wrestling in America.
This match is for the AWA World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Rights and Wrongs, the Pro Wrestling Podcast. This is your host, Mr. Green, and I guess we are back to the, the norm of WoW, and it's coming around review time again. Even though I hadn't had the, opportunity to review a full show, I've been reviewing what they had, but this is a return to form, if you will. As you're listening to this, of course, you've probably already seen it, but they are back to doing matches and not just endless recaps and, well, here we go 3 years ago. Remember when this thing happened and that thing and she did this and that? We're past that. We're kind of past the travel vlog portion, or at least the travel vlog episode. I get the feeling that the shout outs of Vegas and all the exterior around it is still not done yet. But, hey, what are you going to do? In any case, now that we've come back to this, what it means is that I have matches that I have to watch again. And some good. A lot of them, I'm not even going to shortchange them like that. Let me not do that. Let me rephrase what I was about to say. There are good matches. And I do not want to shortchange the participants in the match. However, of course, the thing that we've always kind of stood on with WoW and a lot of what's going on with that particular program is that it's not necessarily the matches. A lot of times it's the creative. And the creative in this particular instance is, in my opinion, not starting off at his best. It's not the worst that we've seen, but it's not starting off at his best. So we are going to go and talk through, review, and dissect some of the things that I looked at during the course of this show, what I thought was good, bad, what I was indifferent about. Of course, all comments are welcome. We certainly, I think I have my microphone there picking up Big Pun in the background. Sorry. So, hey, if you heard somebody singing back there, that's what I was. I was still not a player. Big Pun. I just crush a lot. Y'all look that one up, kids. Anyhow, where was I? I'm sorry. The Big Pun distraction just kind of threw me off there for a moment. All right, yeah. Anyway, getting back to the show and all this WoW goodness. So, I just want to take a sidebar because it's not really a lot of news. I just want to put this little portion of the things that I have tried to research and find within the news, views, and updates. So, why don't we just move on into that now? And then we can go off into research land or what's been taking place in WoW. News, views, and updates. Let's go. Well, so what has been going on, or at least what I've tried to look into. There are often times when I have kind of looked at WoW's programming, or more specifically, their distribution. I try to be as accurate and as rounded as I can when I'm dealing with WoW. Because what I don't want to do is put out the wrong information or, something like that. Or if it's my opinion, I try to make it clear that it's my opinion, so we don't cause any confusion out there amongst anybody that may happen to listen to me for, information for WoW or for whatever reasons. So as I was doing that, what we've basically found is some of the talked about distribution doesn't seem to exist. And I'm bringing this up now as early as I can because I honestly, if there's somebody out there that has a different version of this that is going on, then I really, please send it to me. Let me know what, if you're able to find WoW on these particular venues. Because, and I will put it up front now, I've already reached out as media to Paramount Global. Okay, I've already done the task of that. Now, considering when I sent it, I do not expect it back in a quick turnaround. But I hope that they do get back with me because there was a couple of things that I was really looking to get some sort of clarification on. One, WoW advertises a couple of different things, such as you can catch us on Paramount Plus. You can watch us on Tubi, although I don't know if they've said that recently, to be fair to them. Pluto TV. Of course, you can find your syndicated show in your market by going to their website and putting in your zip code, and that's supposed to generate what television station is carrying that particular show for you. But I have brought it up to them. I said, this does not appear to be updated. The big example that I gave was Atlanta does not air WoW anymore, but if you put in the zip code for Atlanta, it will tell you WUPA, which is where it used to air. Well, WUPA is what we call it now. But it used to be there. But, and again, credit where it's due, is not to any fault of WoW specifically. The station changed over to being a CBS, not even affiliate. It changed over to being the CBS affiliate. Not a sidebar, not a digital tier channel. No, the CBS station where CBS shows air, which is also another thing that WoW somehow allowed their talent to run around for over a year thinking, hey, we're on CBS, guys, and they weren't. And I felt like at that point they were doing a disservice to them, and they also do a disservice to them when they allow things like this to happen. The reason I bring it up is because somebody else put it out there. Hey, you can see WoW on Paramount Plus and do this and do that. As of right now, and again, anybody has a different experience, let me know. Maybe there's something wrong with my connection. I don't know. But as of right now, it seems like all episodes of WoW are scrubbed off of Paramount Plus. I can't find it. I do not see a single episode of WoW on Paramount Plus. Now, maybe that's not a big deal for them. Maybe that doesn't affect them at all. But if that is the case, the thing that I wanted to get across with that is, if that's the situation there, then don't tell people or allow them to put it out there, whether that's your own roster members or people that are interviewing you from some press outlet, because they just stick that in there. And it does make them look bad when it's like, oh man, if you are a fan or you read that particular article and it's like, oh, it's Paramount Plus, and you go on there to try to find it and you can't. I mean, that does look a little Bush League. Tubi Tubi is another platform that WoW airs on, and that is correct. They do air on Tubi TV. Free for you, by the way. The problem is that the Tubi airings have not been updated, and I would imagine about 6 months. They ended somewhere around season 3, between episode 42, 44, 45, somewhere within there. And it's been weeks, and nothing has changed. It hasn't been updated. Nothing's gone on from it. It's just there. So if you want to go back and you want to watch some episodes preceding that, then that's fine. But I tend to lose the idea of what is it there for if it's not going to be updated for its fan base to follow. Some people out there have made it very clear they don't get WoW. They want to be able to see it. I know there's one guy's like, hey, left a comment on one of their videos. WoW should be on national television. Now, think about that. He's saying WoW should be on national television when it is right now. So wherever he's at, he can't access it, and he doesn't know how to access it. One that I forgot about, and I just thought about this second, is Vice TV. I am not certain that it still airs on Vice. It did at one point. It used to air like Wednesday nights at midnight. Then it would come back on at, say, I think 3 in the morning or something like that. But by all accounts, from everything that I've checked into, well, first off, let me just say Vice does not seem to be a well put together thing to begin with. I just will start with that. But from trying to, also reaching out to them, they seem not to have any evidence that WoW still airs with them. Oftentimes, I could probably go on, but oftentimes it feels like there's always a step forward that WoW takes, but somehow they just don't get anywhere. It's like being on a treadmill. Like the steps are being taken, but other than us walking a little faster to move up the treadmill, it just doesn't go anywhere. It's significant. And that's what it feels like. At one point in time, Pluto TV had a bunch of episodes on their on-demand section of WoW. I don't see those there either. Now, that's not to say it doesn't air on Pluto TV. It does air. It just airs in a stream on the wrestling channel. So it's sharing space with the NWA, as we talked about earlier. The odd thing is that at one point in time, there was just a WoW channel in general. How many of you remember that? It was their own little channel that they just put on, and they would just run the matches or run the episodes. And then this happened. It's like, we're on the wrestling channel now. And nothing's wrong with being on the wrestling channel. It's just, where did their specified channel go? Did it not do what it was supposed to do? A lot of changes that happened with WoW happened without any sort of explanation. The only thing that most of the viewers of WoW note or see any sort of evolution on is the show itself. And that could be a little rough sometimes too. It can get bumped, the episode that I'm about to talk about right now is that if you were watching on a CW network, there's a very good chance that you had that bumped. And probably because of the CW's PBR, which also happened to be from Vegas, ironically. And I think I've talked about their bull riding thing before. because, you know, we had to handle the live thing, and they were producing that live. And no, I am not a bull riding aficionado. I don't know or understand the rules that go into it because I haven't tried to pay it that much attention. But I will give them this much credit. Their production is class 1. Grade A production. From the commentator to camera work to the promotional shots in between it, the pyro, all of that. I mean, it looks fantastic. And they sold tickets to that thing. I mean, I was really blown away. I'm not saying that it was an NBA-sized arena. It probably was something along the lines of a 5,000-seat arena or something like that. But they still sold tickets to it. It wasn't just out in the open field for people to walk up and see. They sold tickets to this thing. So make of that what you will. But in any case, the point being is that if you were looking at it that particular weekend on the CW network, there's a good chance that you didn't see it at all, unless you, in some markets, you might have been able to stay up to like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to see it. But outside of that, WoW has its challenges. It has its challenges, it particularly when it gets beyond that syndicated show specifically. Once you're outside of that, it becomes very, very iffy. The Paramount Pluses, the Pluto TVs, the Tubi TVs, the Vice TVs, all the places that it's supposed to have expanded out to and help it broaden the reach of WoW so more people will be able to get it, none of them seem to exist anymore. And I have yet to have found anybody that has given me some sort of different flavor to it, whether they work within, WoW or Paramount or just fan. I haven't heard anybody say, well, no, I see it on these things. So again, if you are able to see updated episodes on Tubi, let me know, because I don't want to put out the wrong stuff. If you're able to see episodes at all on Paramount Plus, let me know, because I don't want to put out the wrong information. Same thing with Pluto TV and everything else that I said. If it is there and somehow I am just not in the right area for it, then let me know or leave your comments below, because I know there are some people out there that were looking for it. I know there's some people out there, just like I said, the guy that left a comment on one of their videos, why should you jump back to national TV? He clearly doesn't get anything other than it being on YouTube. And that's an up and down roller coaster with them too, in terms of viewership, but that's a whole different thing. So all of that to say, it is somewhat tricky to catch full episodes of WoW beyond its syndicated show. Yes, they still have the little zip code tracker thing, like, yeah, put this in and you can find out where WoW is in your area. But I, just out of personal experience, can say that it may not be updated depending on where you are. So keep that in mind when you're looking through it. In any case, I just had to sidebar briefly for that. It's not a lot of, to just keep carrying on about them not being on these particular platforms. I just really wish that it was a more steady thing for them when it gets past the syndicated shows. Before I even say what I'm about to say, let me just go ahead and put this as my personal disclaimer. This I cannot prove, okay? And I'm certainly not saying that it is true. But if you were to tell me that the only purpose that WoW serves to its management, I won't say names, to its management, was just to fill out the 5 years so that the episodes can be sold in perpetuity. Like, I'm going to sell it over in Europe, I'm going to sell it over here and sell it over there and all that stuff, because we have 5 years worth of content that we can just throw out. I would not doubt you in the least. It would not shock me if that were the case. Now, I'm not saying that it is, and I'm not saying that that's the only reason, but it just never feels like WoW grows as a show. The same place it feels, other than the venue, the same place it feels right now is the same place it felt 3 years ago. It's never been hot. It doesn't really dwindle because it has its core fan base that kind of props it up, but it's never felt hot. It's never felt like the talk of the town. It's never felt like it made a dent inside of the wrestling community. It never felt like, man, I can't wait to see, and I'm talking about outside of the WoW fans because they say nonsense all the time. But the average wrestling fans, like, they're never mentioned in the same breath as the AEW women's division, or say the WWE women's division, or TNA's women's division, Knockouts division. They're never mentioned in the same breath as that. I've also brought up that there's certain media outlets that don't even cover them at all. PWI, and that became a thing. I got a couple of emails about that when I talked about this or that topic, a season ago. Like, PWI doesn't bother to cover WoW. Now, they may have WoW talent in it, but they're not addressed as WoW talent, other than them making some blurb like, hey, yeah, and they showed up on WoW. But generally when they talk about them, they talk about what they've done outside of it. I honestly don't know what growth WoW has accomplished. It always feels like they've done more stuff because, and I will never take this credit away from David McClain, is very good at smoke and mirrors. He's very good at it. And he's very good at selling. But when you stop and you think about it beyond that, it turns into, well, wait a minute. Is this thing doing something else? I mean, let's step off of the show for a second and talk about merchandise, for instance. When was the last time you saw them bring up t-shirts on WoW's television? When was the last time you seen them either have a commercial for, because I haven't seen one yet, or bring up that card game? You remember that? It kind of came and went. It's like, yeah, there's a WoW card game, David. And then what else happened about it from that point on? It just doesn't feel like any of that stuff is important. It's just like we have it just to have it. And if you want it, you can go get it. But no, that's pretty much it. So I don't know. I truly wish that I had more information to give. Like I said, the email has been sent out just to try to get some idea of its distribution map. But there's two things that seem like it's under cloak of darkness as far as WoW is concerned. One, the markets that it still airs in. And two, is viewership data. Especially since it jumped over into this new data collecting format. But those two things seem like they just are under lock and key with WoW. It's like, we can't talk about that. But maybe one day we'll find out. Until then, I am forced to believe that the last viewership data that I saw over a year ago, when it was hovering around 250 or so, that's probably where they are, if not a lot less right now. That's where I'm thinking with that. It feels very difficult to turn around and be like, well, yeah, they probably amped up their viewership with these episodes. I just don't see that. Anyhow, that was just a little sidebar. So as we get out of that, I am going to get prepared for our review portion of the show. And just as a little sidebar of my personal things, one of my monitors went out, god damn it. So it does make the editing a little bit, a little more difficult because I got something on this blank screen over here that I can no longer see. So I'm kind of operating blind to move that to where I can actually function with it. But that's neither here nor there. We'll work around it some kind of way. I just felt like I needed to say that. So we're going to take our quick break. And then we come back. It's off into the review for Wow, Women of Wrestling, and its return to Vegas.
Shine 84, November 8th, the OG Badass is looking to celebrate. You want to know what we're celebrating? Oh, November is my birthday month, along with a lot of other celebrations that is going on, jam-packed, but we started off on November 8th, and Shine officials had decided to give me a present in the form of Aaliyah James. Now, Aaliyah, you're passionate about this business, you got the talent, the skill, and you're hungry. But here's the problem. As you rise up the ranks here at Shine, so am I. Now we're meeting here, and unfortunately for you, it's time to knock it to the back of the line. You see, we're looking for a celebration on November 8th. Yes, I'm looking for the streamers, the confetti, the presents, the cake, the champagne. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a win to keep me in title contention. And unfortunately for you, you're a present I do not want. But you know what? We can rectify that. You want to know how? The best birthday gift that you can give me on November 8th is by laying down. By making sure you don't get your ass beat by the OG Badass. So do yourself a favor, shake my hand, lay down, and give me the opportunity to have the 1, 2, 3. I'll see you on November 8th, mamita.
This Saturday, November 8th at Shine 84 in Clearwater, Florida, I have one of the biggest opportunities of my career when I take on Kelsey Heather for the Shine Nova Championship. Now, I'm going to be honest here. When this match was first announced, I was taken aback. I realized that every late night at training, every match, and even every setback led me right to this opportunity. But Kelsey, you just couldn't make it about competition, could you? No, you had to go on social media, run your mouth talking about the same old song and dance that I'm too young and that I don't belong in the same ring as you. Kelsey, you even brought up my own mother. So now this is personal. Kelsey, I want you to understand that when I make you tap on Saturday, it's not just about winning a championship. It's about shutting you up and making you pay for every single word you have ever said about me. So Kelsey, please polish up that title real nice. Because on November 8th, it's coming home with me. I'm going to show everyone that I'm not just the future of Shine Wrestling, that I'm the now. When I become the new Shine Nova Women's Champion.
And we're back. So, what was the opening slate of WoW this particular episode? Well, the opening slate is WoW episode 407, Curtain Up, Las Vegas. The air date, October the 25th. The chronological number was 163. Again, I will repeat, if you were watching or if you do watch on the CW network, there's a very good chance that you had your show bumped from its normal time slot to accommodate the live show, which was the championship finals of the bull riding thing. Never thought I would sit through that, but I guess, that's part of the job. Anyhow, the show opens up with a new voiceover. Includes brought to you by David McClain and Jeannie Buss. They present it as history being made. So we're back to that. This is history being made. Fremont, that. This is when David and Nigel are sitting out and they're talking to the crowd. That's when David McClain goes into history's being made. We're the first ever on Fremont Street. Yay. And again, it sounds good. Being on Fremont Street sounds good. It looks good. If you can't say anything good about the episode in general, you can say that the episode looks good. Lots of lights, lots of people. Now, I doubt that any of them paid for a ticket, but, that they're there and they're enjoying the show. It does sound very impressive when you're like, well, we're the only ones that did it. I want to say my counter to that, but I will question how many wrestling promotions would have tried. That would be the thing that comes by. It's like, well, how many wrestling promotions actually wanted to be on Fremont Street? Because any other one that's on national TV is probably not going to make that effort. And if they did, they would be there. I'm sure I brought it up before, but let's be real. Tony Khan has probably as much contact information as Jeannie Buss just because he's a billionaire or the son of a billionaire. And if he wanted to be on that street, he'd be there. Same thing with WWE. If they wanted to be in the middle of the street, wherever they were, and shooting episodes of Raw or SmackDown or whatever the case be, I'm pretty sure they would be there. So I don't know how, yes, I guess it's historical, but I don't know how much of a big deal it is. Big for them, I'm sure. And I certainly hope that they are getting a check cut to them for, their constant carrying on about Fremont Street. But Nigel and David are interrupted by Top Tier, and Coach Campanelli cuts a promo. I think that she does a great job cutting a promo. It's probably one of her strong suits. And despite that, I don't know if the crowd was fully aware of whether they wanted to cheer or boo her. Most of them got this. No, not most. Some of them got the hint. Some of them out there got the hint and they understood, but I don't know if they understood what was going on here. So, and before we go into the matches, let's just go ahead and recap that. All of these matches that are airing here are matches that took place about a year ago. So it was a little bit after the original tapings that were in Los Angeles. So there is some level of continuity, I suppose, but there's such huge gaps in between when they did A versus when they did B. And I can only imagine that it's hard to try to get yourself back in the mindset of what you were supposed to be doing or what you were supposed to be feeling 6 months ago or however long it's been. This is Coach Campanelli getting ready to talk, about Ashley Blaze, someone who allegedly they broke a leg for, and they laughed about it. This is where I started having the first issue. The promo in and of itself was fine, but is also presented as if Ashley Blaze is coming off of being hospitalized by this team. So when I think about that, I'm like, all right, well, this should be a match of revenge. It shouldn't just be a regular match. If that is the narrative that they're trying to tell, it shouldn't just be regular. But you know what it was? It was a regular match. Not bad. Not saying that it was bad, but it was just a regular match. There was no feeling of animosity. There was no feeling of I'm going to get even with you. There was no feeling of how dare you attack me like this, or for that matter, Blaze didn't even come out with people to watch her back in the situation where we known these three individuals have done everything in their power to try to cripple or hurt or maim, right? In our little kayfabe universe. So let's get to the match, since I've already started basically talking about it. The match that is led into coming out of the promo is Ashley Blaze versus Kandy Krush. And this is where Coach is like, I have such faith in us as a team. We're going to just do this individually. And why? It's already bad enough that they had the top tier titles to begin with. And whereas I do like Campanelli, I mean, I just am not going to get over these stupid belts. I just can't. Because it didn't make any sense for them to get them in the first place. It was just dumb. But anyhow, Blaze starts off with attitude towards Krush. And then ultimately it just turns into a regular match and less of a match of revenge. That's what I wrote down. They did a fine job with everything that was going on there. There was a point in the match where Campanelli looked like she legit hurt herself as she does a side rush and leg sweep on Ashley Blaze on the outside and probably smacked her back on the ground. So I'm pretty sure that she's not going to be doing that anymore if it was legitimate. Next time she should try something just a little simple, a body slam. You know, don't put yourself in harm's way for that. But yeah, you have that. I wrote down, did David say that the fans were chanting for top tier? Because I for where I was, I couldn't hear it. And there was a lot of stuff going on in the room. So, and I no longer really have the ability to go back and watch it until it jumps up on YouTube. But here's the big change here. Last season, top tier was presented like this well-oiled machine. Regardless of what I thought about them and running the titles and, you know, the trios division for whatever it happens to be, they were presented like, you know, we're a unit. We can, you know, take on everybody and we'll out-wrestle everybody and this, you know, all that good stuff. But here, it's like they're tripping over themselves. They went from being this polished machine to being the Three Stooges. And nothing that they were doing was right. Trying to get in the ring, Glory Glitter looked like an idiot, just ran in and ran across, got thrown out. Grabbed a leg, and then I'm just going to walk up behind you, just shove him off. Ashley Blaze does a dive, you know, and lands on all three of them. It's like they just could not get their stuff together. And I guess that's fine. But it does kind of go against what they were. They were just this unstoppable machine. And why are they in these single matches to begin with? WoW hasn't really illustrated the 30-day rule thing within their company. It's not like they say, well, the champion has to defend X amount of days. They just seem like they can do whatever they want. We don't feel like defending it. Well, we won't. We'll just do these singles matches just to fill out time and space. Yeah, that's less of a issue with them and more of a complaint of mine. But back to what Top Tier was doing. Like, yeah, for whatever reason, it just felt like to me, all of a sudden now is Mo, Larry, and Curly just losing themselves as they try to stop Ashley Blaze, and now this unit just can't seem to do it. They cannot find the rhythm in order to stop her when they have shut down everybody every which way that they possibly could for about a year. And then you get the obligatory dive spot that Ashley Blaze does. Again, it didn't feel like this was some sort of match based on revenge. She tosses Kandy Krush out to the floor. This is, of course, after Glory Glitter does her, yeah, I'm going to charge and get you spot, and she just gets tossed out to the floor. So that was one person to the floor, followed by another one tossed out to the floor. Then Ashley Blaze gets up on the apron, tries to get the crowd to come alive with her, as all three members of Top Tier stand on the side, just bracing themselves to get jumped on, which we all know that was about to happen. You can see it coming a mile away. And somehow, neither Campanelli, nor Glory Glitter, nor Kandy Krush could see her standing there waving to the audience. It might have been a different thing for me in general if she just got up there and ran across. But they all had to just stand there and just wait their turn to get jumped on. So, how does it end? Well, it is basically pretty clean with Ashley Blaze going over. But before she gets into the ring, this is why I say they start tripping over themselves. She tries to slide into the ring. Campanelli grabs her ankle. Glory Glitter, for whatever reason, decides to come up behind her. I don't know how that was going to help at all. And then Blaze is able to just shove Campanelli off, and then that causes a domino effect. She goes down, and Glitter goes down with her. Meanwhile, Krush is up on the second rope on the inside, and she's getting ready to try it off with a Superwoman punch. Blaze is able to get out of the way. Krush misses, but she rolls through. She tries to run out and continue her attack on Blaze. Blaze hooks her up into a firewoman's carry and turns that into a TKO. And then that's it. 1, 2, 3. She beat her clean in the middle. I didn't have a problem with the match, but I don't know if the match necessarily matched up to whatever narrative that they were trying to tell. WoW has long had this habit of it doesn't matter what the heels do to you. As long as you get a 3 count, then revenge granted. That's all that matters. Just as long as you get the 3, you've accomplished your revenge. I had a problem with that then. I have a problem with it now. Especially when they have carried on about Top Tier being so lethal and dangerous. Like, first off, the injury angles were pathetically bad. I'm sorry, they were. They were terrible injury angles. And it didn't look like somebody should have been put in the hospital from what they was doing. But that was what I wanted to do. And since that's the cards that they played, we have to go with them. So, leg is broken. Air quotes around is broken, but the leg is broken, right? And this is her first chance to get back at Top Tier since that time. Months ago. Which does lead to another interesting point. It's like, how many people in this audience had a clue of what this angle was supposed to be? How could they? It probably hadn't even aired yet. So, I mean, as far as they're concerned, I'm pretty sure most of them looked at this like it was a cold match. It's just a match that's going on. Not necessarily that something's happening. Now, Campanelli and the promo at the beginning does help set the table. Cannot take that away. But it's still hard to do that and, have this alleged angle carry any sort of heat. It just never feels like it carries any heat. So the next thing that we got shows that, it just didn't feel like this is what Ashley Blaze should have been doing. The second that she beats Candy Krush, and like I said, in the Wild's universe, so long as you get the win, the revenge is granted. You've done it. But here's this woman who's standing in the ring with this team that not only said that they were, basically we broke your leg and they was happy about it, but that she might get it broken again. This is the previous week. So I don't know what she was just standing there for, looking up at the sky and, thanking the audience and everything else. In this environment, she should have won and got out of there. I mean, there is such a thing as trying to do what is good for your persona or your character or the situation that you're in, the scenario that you exist in. I never got the impression of that. I just never got the impression that this was, I have to get even with you or this team is dangerous. Never felt it. And like I said, standing there, jawing with the fans or thanking the fans, looking up at the sky, looking at the LED lights above her head, did not help that. Because, like clockwork, they ran in and attacked her. And as they have run in and attacked her, then they're run off by the Dojo defenders and the returning terror strike. Right? So, top tier gets beaten singularly, and then they get beaten up and sent on their way. And, of course, it just so happens that the Dojo defenders had the next match on the list, so, it did them wonders that they came out when they did, I imagine. But we get a little B-roll of the Dojo defenders, and, Terror Strike is back. So they both have returned on the same night and the same show from the injuries caused by this group. And, again, a couple of smacks and beat them up out of the ring is revenge enough. Anyhow, as a side note, I will say this. I do think that Ashley Blaze is going to make a great heel somewhere for somebody someday. If she's not already out there doing it. I think she does do it as what's it, Cameron Bain? I can't remember what her indie name is right now. But she has great demeanor of arrogance when she walks. I mean, I know she's a babyface here. I know she's the one that we're supposed to be cheering for it. And you do, because she does do babyface stuff. She did, did the dive, went out there and high-fived the fans and all that good stuff like that. So I'm not saying that she didn't do anything babyface. I'm just saying, in my opinion, she does have what I would consider a natural demeanor that could be easily kind of shifted into heel mode if necessary. And I'm not going to be mad at that. I don't know if she's going to do that at WoW or not, but I wouldn't be mad at that at all. I actually would probably enjoy some of it. But anyhow, the next segment, the Dojo Defenders taking on the Brat Pack. And see how that works out. They came out there to allegedly save Ashley Blaze, but really they was just coming out there to, because everybody was in the way for their next match. If you had a heel announcer, he would say something like that. It's like, she didn't come out there to save them. They're just in the way. They just had to get him out. Anyhow, it's another return that meant little of nothing. And you try to say this and not be insulting to the parties involved, but that's what this was. This was another return that meant little of nothing. Here's somebody that was supposed to have been, much like Ashley Blaze, had a leg broke, carted out and stuff like, and that was it. She just ran back out like nothing happened. And I'm sure The taping schedule probably has a lot to do with that. But why? How many times did they have just people just show back up and it didn't mean a thing? First off, getting back to the audience, there's no way that they could have possibly understood or known what the angle, the story, what they were supposed to be getting from this. Oh my God, Terror Strike is back. You're not having that. First off, no one's over. They know to cheer for the people. They will cheer because, it's excitement and there's bumps, and if they get a good promo happen, they can understand who they're supposed to cheer or boo. But as far as what got them here, what was the path that these individuals got to or got on to put them face to face against each other? I'm fairly sure 99% of those fans had no idea what was going on. That would be my guess. Because Ashley Blaze's return, nothing. Terror Strike's return meant nothing. They're all wonderful wrestlers, but it just is a waste. Like every other return that they have is a waste. I know I'm sidebarring here, but it's like every other return that they had. Tadavik the game, when they put here's B-roll is Tadavik. She returned to WoW. I was like, but what did that mean to anybody? She hadn't wrestled in WoW like a decade. And it's not like she went around the world just giving the wrestling fan base the growth of Tadavik. And then she finally comes back. She pretty much disappeared from wrestling for a long time. And then she popped back in, a year ago? And then she went back to WoW. But she didn't have anything underneath her to where people would care. You could say the same thing about Americana. She came back and she was one of their own. But what did the return mean? It was just for them another chance to show Levi on TV. It amazes me that they could have things like that. And that a babyface who is attacked on TV, and again, there's something to be said about having attacks that look convincing. Nothing that Top Tier did to either one of these girls looked convincing. But anyhow, there's something to be said for that, because you might cheer them when they come back if you thought that they were never going to do it, but Terror Strike being carted out there looked like something that took place on TV because it was. Anyhow, I've sidebarred long enough. Let's get back to the matches that took place on this wonderful evening in Vegas and Fremont Street. This is the Defenders, Karakai, Terror Strike taking on the Brat Pack. BK Rhythm and Gigi Gianni. My poor sweet Brat Pack. Why do they do you like they do? I mean, I'm not saying that it's the wrong outcome. I agree with the outcome. It should have been the returning action of the Dojo Defenders going over. So there's nothing with me there. But if there ever was a time that it made me feel like, we're right back to form, this is it. First thing being that is back to form is that somebody had to go over there and sit down next to David. And who was that? Ashley Blaze. Hey, Ashley, she's come over to commentary. So we're already back to that. We're already the first episode of Fremont Street version of WoW. We're already back to, hey, come over here and talk to me. Why is that necessary? M is every show. That he has somebody at every show. Fortunately, the commentary did not do anything to hindered the match. I mean, beyond the normal, overuse of David and Nigel and whatever, beyond that. But no, the match was fine, and I still feel very strongly about all participants involved. It probably would have been a bigger deal for the Dojo defenders to go over top of the Brat Pack had they not already beaten them religiously. But I don't remember a match that the Brat Pack has won against the Dojo defenders. I mean, even when they knocked out BK or knocked their jaw loose or whatever it is that they did that day with that errant kick to the mouth, I don't even remember them winning then. As it just felt like the Brat Pack always goes down. They always go down in flames to defeat. It would have felt a little differently, at least for me, had this been some sort of thing that the Dojo defenders could overcome. But that being said, it was fine. I enjoyed it. I think that all parties involved are pretty good with each other. I think they missed their window of opportunity to get something out of a feud with them because of their refusal to change course, or either refusal or inability to do so. Because look, after the kick in the mouth, that was probably as perfect an opening for a personal issue, regardless of whether it happened by accident. I'm sure it wasn't on purpose. I'm sure she had no intentions of kicking that young lady in the mouth. But regardless of whether that happened like that or not, it was probably as close as they could have ever gotten to having some level of personal issue that people would look at and believe. Especially if the Brat Pack had come back with a vengeance. They didn't need necessarily to win the feud if they were going to have had one. But if they had come back with a vengeance and got a couple of wins or whatever, put them in some compromising situations, they could have had some fun with that. But, they, of course, did not. And we are where we are. So in any case, this is a fair match. You can go and watch it. It is worth the time. Relatively short, but I think most WoW matches are. I don't even remember how they finished it. Oh yeah, there we go. Go through my notes. The defenders pinned BK Rhythm with a crane kick and the Ferris wheel combo. Everything else that took place within the course of that match, I'm sure you can go and see on your own time. I will say this much is that there are new individuals that have come into the working hub when WoW is on the air, and as such, one of these young ladies, Gigi Gianni, has picked up some eyeballs for all the wrong reasons. I'm sorry. I just, I can't help that. But I'm pretty sure most of them are very aware that they're going to get some lecherous old men regardless of what they do. So anyhow, the final portion of the match, once they got rid of Gianni, they did what I said I just described to you. So I can't even say a crane kick, more like a crane knee lift. And I wonder how many people actually even get the reference of that, because it's like did the Karate Kid deal. So she does that, hobbling on a bad knee, much like the Karate Kid did in the movie, pops her in the mouth. That sends her over in the little Ferris wheel thing by Kai, and then it's a big win. And then Blaze comes charging in and hugging them like they just won the Super Bowl. That might have felt like the wrong time to be celebrating a big win, but it's a team that they pretty much owned. I don't know why she was so shocked or amazed that they got the win over them. Like, they always beat the Brat Pack. The Brat Pack don't win. It pains me to say that, but they just don't. I don't know if I would go so far as to what some people have put in comments for us, like, this is awesome, or it's epic and amazing, and somebody actually said that this makes me happy. I'm crying tears of joy. I said, well, you know what? I don't feel it, but if it makes you feel that way, then maybe it hits you on a different level than I have. So, that I'm certainly not going to knock it. And bravo to that person. Because, look, again, I cannot poke holes in. I can't judge the match for being bad. It's just a cold match. It's just a cold match that doesn't have any ramifications to it. Is something that it didn't really stand on the return of a comeback from somebody who alleged to, I'm in the hospital and got to fight to get back in the ring. None of that. It was just a match. Regardless of what was going on, it was just a match. The other thing that I wrote down following this is, where are the rest of the alliance? They do this all the time. Why is this team together? For what? It's like the Brat Pack don't have any support. The Alliance is a bad enough unit as it is. And we're not talking in terms of in-ring talent or work. They have a manager that never comes out with them. That's the first thing. When she does, she goes over there and sits in the commentating booth. They don't let Raina come out there with her. Raina beat well, I can't say beat, but hurt the champion a while. Hadn't been mentioned anywhere near the world title picture. It's just crazy to me that none of these things, even when they get something accidentally handed to them, it doesn't go anywhere. It was given to you on a silver platter. But because we tape like we do, we can't deviate from our plan. So, I don't know. It was a cold match. It was fun, but we're just going to go ahead and call it now. It's the curse of the Brat Pack, and the curse of the Brat Pack continues. Next segment. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot my little side note here. Well, we got McLean talking about you're going to see some shocking moments from the cage match. Now, he's saying this during the Brat Pack Dojo Defenders match. And Zane also says that they're going to show you steel cage footage to set up the main event. And I wrote, when? Why was this left in the show? They had a year. This is one of these things that bugs me about, wow, why would you do this? You had a year to edit the commentary out, and don't tell me that you can't. I've done it on Premiere Pro. How is it that you are incapable of getting these things out of? Why does this make air? We have people saying things that clearly aren't going to happen. And for what? Somebody had to have known by the time that this was going to make air that we don't have that. I'm not going to say they don't have the footage. We're not going to include this footage. That decision was made. So why leave that commentary in there? Is there not anyone that's sitting there? Quality control. Well, I know the answer to that. So it's a rhetorical question. Why is there no one there doing quality control? Because if they are, then they just clearly do not give a shit about what they put on the air. Because our fans won't question it. They don't care. But I had to make sure that I wrote that down because I'm like, why are they saying this? Why are they including these statements in this show that they know full well they're not going to do? And it bugs me. Especially when, like I said, they had a year. They had a year to fix that. There is absolutely zero reason that they should have left that in. It'd have been different if it was like, hey, we only do these things the week of the airing and we ship it out. But when you're telling me that, this stuff was taped in September of 2024 and it didn't air until October 2025, how is that left? I'm not saying that they edited it a year ago, but at least even if they edited it 2 or 3 weeks ago, somebody sit down and watch it like, hey, can we get this out of here? Anyhow, back to the segments of the show. Next segment, Samantha Smart and the Classmaster, and I didn't feel like the audience was all that responsive to her. I do not have a problem with Smart, but this came off to be like she rehearsed this promo. And I don't know where they were going with this. Like, let's go and look at what took place with the entirety of this championship in the Classmaster. So she loses. Samantha Smart's argument is, well, I should have been disqualified because, we should have been disqualified because this book was used and, didn't matter that I tried to put it in there. Okay, fine. So she has a manager's logic in why she should, I keep saying she, that's another thing. Because when does the Classmaster get a chance to say anything? I'm not big on the gimmick of the Classmaster, but she should say something. And not just stand there like a dimwit and just point at her head and point at the book every chance she gets. Open her mouth and speak. Never mind the fact that, like I said, and I've been saying since she's shown up, the only qualifier that she's ever been presented is that she's 6'3", which doesn't make any sense because she's standing next to somebody that's probably about 6'2", wearing heels. So we negate that. And as a sidebar, I talked about Megan Bain, and then there's some other young lady that's in Ring of Honor right now who's another. I'm tall, is another one of those. But at least with them, I cannot say that I've seen either woman stand next to anybody else of equal height yet. You know it's going to happen eventually. But I cannot say that I've seen either one of them standing next to anybody of equal height just yet. Because it's ridiculous if you're trying to get them over as being a big deal. And the selling point is that they're taller than everybody else. So why? And I really wish I could remember. I'm sure it'll just pop up in my head later on. But why on earth would you have that? Why would you do that? It just seems so counterproductive. And I know they're never going to want to admit it. And they're never going to remove Samantha Smart from her. They're just going to leave her there. She doesn't help the Classmaster. Not in a positive sense. She helps her look like a moron. And she negates the one qualification that they try to sell. She's tall. She's big. She's tall. She negates that. She doesn't let her speak. And I don't want to just knock her, but she being Samantha Smart does not come off like a natural promo. It sounds very, very structured. And that doesn't help. Classmaster might be a firecracker promo, but I'll never know because she never gets the chance to get on the microphone. So anyhow, they come out, sounds like it says rehearsed, and this feels to me like they're basically rewarding Samantha Smart for complaining. Because what I was getting back to when I said we let's rewind the clock and how did we get here? They lost the title, the disqualification, and then it's just been Samantha Smart pleading the case of them having a rematch for the Classmaster. At the time, Wild Management, a.k.a. David McClain, said, well, hey, you lost. And you know what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to start at the bottom. You're going to have to start all over and work your way back up to get a championship shot. That's what he said. Not verbatim, but you get the point. What does working your way back up and wow mean? Like 2 matches? What, Holiday and a match that we didn't see the end of? I might be missing one. Okay, so let's just say that I'm forgetting one and it's 3. How many people on the Wild roster? How is this working itself back up? Why is she being rewarded for this? How many times have you seen people come out there and constantly go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about I need to be a number 1 contender, and then they have to jump through about 50 hoops to be able to be a contender? But she just can't, I need a shot. All right, well, you'll get your shot. Why? For what? This segment also shows David McClain in complete control of WoW. And then later on, he won't be. It's inconsistent. And it's like they don't want to acknowledge that. I'm probably sure he does not. I would assume he just enjoys being on television. And yeah, people that's watching don't care. But it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to have this guy who is clearly in charge and able to do whatever thing that he needs to do to make the show go the direction that he wants, also turn around within seconds and be like, well, we can't do anything about this. The crowd seemed like they were indifferent to this entire situation. And just mentioning like Tormenta, it didn't seem to move the audience at all. Well, you lost to Tormenta, it didn't seem to move anything. Like I don't know if that audience even knew who Tormenta was. I don't know. It's amazing. It is amazing. So, Smart addressed David McClain, who is sitting hard camera side, and she has her rant or promo about they should get a shot. It completely negates the you got to work from the bottom deal and get back up. That's kind of out the door, because he just, like I said, I'm going to present you the contract and you're going to have to read the fine print or whatever he was talking about. So there we have it. We know that it's going to be a match with the Classmaster, with Tormenta for the Wild Championship at some point. Why is this fast? I don't know. What did they even show the end or mention or talk about the end of her versus Nashville? No. So how and why is she here? Your guess is as good as mine. Next segment, Paola Mayfield is advertised for her appearance next week. So it's being sold on the idea that Paola Mayfield is megastar, I guess, is going to be on WoW, and you need to watch it. Next segment is Big Rigs and Bourbon versus Miami Sweet Heat. Of course, with Lana Star. Big Rig Betty comes out and cuts the promo at the start of the match, explaining them fighting for a family. This It's another case that this is probably going to be the best promo that you're going to get as far as trying to make sense of the willingness to take her back immediately. I still don't think it should have been an immediate, all right, well, we're back. I still don't think that should have happened. Now, we can't do anything about it because what's done is done. And they're going to have their match, and they're going to have Holly Swag reverting back to being a babyface, and the family accepting her with open arms. So you have to take it for what it is. I still just do not believe that they should have had this take place. Not in this sense. They were instantaneously ready to defend Holly Swag. Now so much to the point that we need a shot at Miami Sweet Heat for the titles. I mean, to her credit, I don't know if she put the titles above getting revenge for Holly Swag, and that should be noted. But still, come on. Should they be, accepting her back immediately after both of them and a few other babyfaces been clobbered in the head with this rock on multiple occasions? And the timeline of this show is obviously off as we are watching and listening to the match. Zayn says that Miami Sweet Heat won the titles a week ago, which didn't happen a week ago. They had a little bit of a buffer episode between that, I think, so it would have been like 2 weeks. But considering that this is taped in months and months and months in advance, and apparently nobody does any quality control to make sure that it all sounds like it's lining up, you got this. I hate to say it, yet the commentary is as hard to sit and listen to as it's always been. Just a nonstop barrage at every sentence end of David. And somebody asked me, was I going to do that David counter again? I was like, not if I can help it. That shit's hard to sit through. I'm sorry. Even when you're trying to do it for funny purposes, it's just as hard to sit through. The only time it became easier to sit through is when I was done with it. But just the sit and listen to the match in general, like you just don't think about how many times he says it all the time. It's like we're not even talking to the audience. It's just a conversation between me and you, and these people are just lucky to be sitting here listening. So anyhow, the fans seemed interested in what was going on here. When we got Miami's Sweet Heat and Big Rigs and Bourbon going at each other. They didn't necessarily seem emotionally invested in it, but like I said, you're going to get some people that's going to be happy. They're going to cheer the match. They're going to cheer for the spots and the bumps and all that good stuff, which is what they did. And I would imagine that if they was watching this cold, which they were, there was some people out there that pretty much enjoyed it. Not bad. It just has some issues of continuity and whether or not those fans actually understood what the problems were. And I don't think that they did. Despite the fact that they gave them a promo at the beginning of it. Everything here, even if it had some sort of previous attachment to some previous angle, felt like it was just cold. Even the ring announcer. Yes, there are some people out there that's still doing the one fall thing. But it ain't the same deal as what you got when you was in the studio and it could be completely controlled. Some of them out there don't have a clue what that one fall deal is about. And I'm sure they picked up on it as time went on. But it's like, why? And I still say she probably needs to chill out with that. I'm sure somebody told her to do it. But she needs to chill out with that because it's not necessary. You don't have to. The falling guys is one fall and hold the microphone up every time. Now, that was a little bit of a rewind because that took place before Big Rigs and Bourbon even came out. So, yeah, that. Another error of continuity is Zayn saying that Big Rigs and Bourbon saved Swag earlier in the night. I was like, why is that not included? Or, I'm sorry, why is this statement included? These are his words. They saved her earlier in the night. When did they save her? And from what? We don't know because we didn't see it. This isn't vastly different than most of the other matches, that have taken place between these teams. So it's not bad, by, I don't want to say any stretch of the imagination, but I didn't have any problems with it. It's just everything around it. Now we also get McLean and Zayn painting the picture that Lana Star brainwashed Holly Swag. It is inconsistent for the storyline. Very inconsistent. When they doubled down on Holly Swag being a troublemaker and stirring up crap within the group, and she was the weakness or the cancer that they needed to get rid of. Now, Swag is the victim. Poor Holly Swag was just suckered in and taken by the glitz and the glamour of Hollywood and Lana Star and this, that, and the other. I don't know. I also would like to say, here's a thumbs up for Lana Star. I don't know. I have to keep saying I don't know whether she's told to do it. I don't know whether she has just developed the instinct for it. I don't know how she is presented this stuff, but she does make a far better manager than she ever did a wrestler, and it works for her. I called Angle Alert when I saw her come out with the hairspray. I was like, all right. We do not see her walking around with that hairspray on any other occasion, so now that she's out with it, I'm pretty sure it's going to come into use. But to her credit, at least she actually sat there using the hairspray instead of just walking out with it and like, all right, well, let me wait to use my, do my spot. She actually was spraying her hair as they walked on down. So I say good on them, or more specifically, good on her that she tried to mask what the hairspray might have been used for. Now, for the audience that's out there in Vegas, they probably did not care because, again, most of them very likely have seen very little of what goes on in WoW. It's not like doing that for the standard regular crew, or the ones that would view wrestling all the time, or the ones that would view WoW wrestling all the time. And since that's not the case, I don't think any of them got it or cared that she was carrying hairspray. I just noticed it because, we see this every week, and we know that's not something that she would normally do. So, the match, it's fine. Everything that I expected out of it. The heels tried to jump the baby faces at the beginning. They duck underneath. They take control. If there's one thing you can say about the Carson twins, they are clearly willing to take the bumps. You can't knock them for that. I mean, Lindsay got tossed out through the ropes, and she pretty much let herself fly to the floor. thumbs up, applause, however you want to give them credit. You got to give them that. They may not always be the smoothest, but they are willing to take the punishment. And from what I understand right now, they are, as I'm recording, about 3 weeks away. Is it 3 weeks? About 4 weeks. About 4 weeks away from taking an additional match outside of the WoW sphere. I absolutely applaud it. I applaud that they are willing to do that. Some of the people that exist in WoW, I never expected to be taking matches anywhere else other than WoW. And there are still some there that I don't expect to be taking matches anywhere else other than WoW. Miami's Sweet Heat, quite honestly, was part of that group of people that I had lumped them in. Like, yeah, they're probably not going to take a match out there. So the fact that they have or they are, I think it deserves some kind of credit. Thumbs up to them. So anyhow, we got the match going on, and it's pretty much what you would expect. Miami Sweet Heat's back in heel mode. The babyfaces controlled pretty much everything from the start until they got cut off. And then Miami Sweet Heat takes over, obviously. I mean, got to get the heat on somebody. And that somebody here was Jesse Jones. So if somebody was going to do the bumping and get beat up and tossed all over the place and whatnot, it was going to be her. And she did. Not tossed all over the place, but you get the idea. So what do we have towards the end? Well, when we get down towards the end of the match, we have a couple of other participants that decide to intervene or, I guess, show their faces. Keep in mind that, like I said, this is somewhat out of sequence or off the timeline. So I assume that Holly Swag would have had a match earlier in the night where they needed to save her from what Nigel was saying. We have to assume that that's how the live event went, if not necessarily the taping. So Big Rigs and Bourbon are taking control as Big Rig Betty is the one that gets back into the ring. Penelope Pink comes running out the ringside, and she decides to get up on the apron and start yelling at Big Rig Betty. I'm not really sure why this was a necessary function. I know they was trying to distract the referee and give him a reason to turn. But again, it makes the referee look like an idiot. What is he standing over there looking at them run up the ramp for? I mean, why would that be a thing for him? They're not doing anything for the match. It didn't make them any difference. But he literally, when Pink gets up on the apron, she yells, assumably at him. Holly Swag comes out after her, chasing her. Yanks her off, takes a swing. Pink ducks underneath, and then she takes off running up the ramp. The referee is standing there looking dumbfounded like, hey, where you guys going? They're not even involved in the match. Why was he fixated on this? And we know the answer because it's the spot that they called. But still, in the universe of WoW, why was the referee looking up the ramp when he's supposed to be doing a job in the ring? So the camera comes back. We see Lindsay spraying the hairspray in the face of Big Rig Betty. As Lori comes up behind Betty and scoops her in for a roll-up. Then she has her down for probably a good 3 or 4 seconds before the referee could pay any sort of attention. So we make it abundantly clear that she was not going to get out of this. Jesse Jones, as she is trying to get in and say, she grabs her big stick, but she's too late. The 3 count goes down, and they have lost. Now, I don't think that it was a necessary function to have Pink come out. You had Lana Star, and y'all need to teach her how to cheat for her team effectively so that, things like that can go a little smoother. But as it was a hairspray in the face, followed with a roll-up, 1, 2, 3. Big Rick Betty is pinned by Lori. I wrote, Lana Star may have well told you that the hairspray was going to affect the outcome of the match. I mean, I could see that right away the moment I saw hairspray in her hand. Like, all right, something's going to happen. I didn't necessarily care for Lori's leg pull spot, but she has, one of them down. She takes a run, hits the ropes. Then she slides and grabs the leg as she's going out. I just thought that was a little overdone. I mean, if it had moved smoothly, I might have had a different idea about it. But I just don't see that. But I did write that, even though I didn't care for it, I appreciated the effort of trying something new. But these are the type of spots that needs to be practiced somewhere else. It didn't need to be on national television. That needed to be practiced, and this ropes back around to them taking the indie shot. Things like that, they should be practicing on the indies. If they're going to, try to polish up their act of what they do and what they don't do, that attempt of a move, well, my personal feelings is that they should drop it altogether. But if they're going to keep it perfected outside of wild tapings, it doesn't need to be on TV. It doesn't come off as I won't say devastating, but it doesn't come off as a legitimate move. It just don't. So, that was just a little side thing that they did. Of course, again, the Carlsons win. But that little side thing that they did with her specifically, I do not think you need to do that again, young lady. It doesn't seem to help or look as smooth as it should. And that was basically the show. Not a lot of show that was going on there. It's just, it was another episode. It was nice to see them go back to having some wrestling. That much I can say. But it was also very evident that the expectations were not high. And I say that about the audience. I'm sure there was real people there. I'm sure they were happy to see it. But it's like cheering for the Harlem Globetrotters opposed to cheering for your favorite basketball team. Like, you can cheer the basketball game that the Harlem Globetrotters are in, but you're probably not going to be very emotionally invested in it. Whereas you're a Lakers fan, you want to see the Lakers win. That's what I get here. They aren't the Lakers in this scenario. WOW is the Harlem Globetrotters. Now, no one's ever going to point at the Harlem Globetrotters and say that they cannot play basketball. Yes, they can, and they're very good at it. And they can do things on that court that most normal people should not be able to do. But they're not there for you to have some sort of emotional investment in whether they win or lose. They're just there to provide the show. And WOW, at times, comes off that way. We're just there to provide the show. I mean, our big question was, does your expectations change depending on whether you've paid for the show or not? In most cases, I would think that the answer would be yes. Now, I can't say that for certain. Maybe your expectations don't change, but still, when you don't have to pay for something, does it change your expectation or the bar that you set for that thing considering that you didn't have to fork out money for it? Probably. And it makes me feel like, okay, is the expectation low by the audience in at large here? Does it feel like the expectations are low? Because I don't know if I saw very many people root for, say, the big star of the company, or the big champion of the company, the major name. That's those things just do not seem to exist. I'm sure if fans paid money to get into that, they would be looking for a star somewhere. Whether they would get one or not is a different issue, but they would probably be looking for a star at that point. I also wrote down that this audience does not seem predisposed to react to normal pro wrestling things. It just didn't give me that vibe. I will check the next episode to see if that feels any different. And I also have my note that I already talked about this. The comebacks of Blaze and Strike meant nothing. It meant nothing. And I truly hate to say that, but it didn't do a thing. It wasn't even talked about like it was special. It was just, hey, they're back. So there we have it. It is WOW. And another show in the can. So what do they have going on for the next one, you ask? Or at least I ask. And depending on when I put this up, you might already know the answer to it. But since I am somewhat locked in the past, I do not know what exactly may or may not have happened on WOW's next episodes. So we are going to find that press release and see what is happening on their next episode. And it's going to be battle lines drawn. Here we go. Sin City is still in full swing as the VIPs, Paola Mayfield. Well, they didn't say Mayfield. I just added that in. That was a little mental edit there. Let's try that again. Sin City is in full swing as the VIPs, Paola the Colombian Goat and Abilene Maverick, take on championship hopeful and all-around powerhouse Santana Garrett. Plus, flanked by her Monsters and Metal sisters, Daisy Lane goes head-to-head with Coach Campanelli and her toxic team of Top Tier. Will Daisy Lane be able to crush her bully on the purple mat, or will Coach Campanelli's constant tricks lead to another victory for Top Tier? And in the main event, former tag team champions Holly Swag and Penelope Pink face off to settle the fallout from last broadcast's in-ring chaos. Safe to say, these two won't be pulling any punches. Well, that's fascinating. Monsters and Metal. I would imagine that they would have to win something, wouldn't they? I mean, it doesn't sound like it's going to be a tag match. So if it's just one-on-one, why lose? Swag and Pink, I would assume Swag would go over on that. And I don't know about Paola and Santana Garrett. That is a little hard because, wow, again, that inconsistency just kind of throws me off. Last time either one of them were in the ring together, Mayfield had stopped Garrett from winning in her submission against the Classmaster. Remember that? Of course, it wasn't brought up again. It wasn't mentioned by anybody anywhere. It was just, okay, I lost. I'll just, gosh darn it, I'll wait for my turn. So, I really wish some of these baby faces would get some personality. I really, 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 really wish they would. And that is going to do it. That was the entirety of it. It was a fair episode. And I enjoyed some of the matches there, but I really wish that the continuity and the holes that are poked into their story would just fill up. They stop themselves from having all of these minor problems. And yes, I can admit that they're minor, but at some point they may become major. You don't want to just get in the habit of our fans will be fine. They'll take what we feed them. Because that's what a lot of times it feels like. It feels like WoW is just at a point where it's like, they'll be fine. Whatever we put up there, they'll love it. And they just leave it at that. And they're not going to change it unless the fans either rebel against it, something comes around that takes fans away from it, or somebody up there has a sudden change of heart, which that last one I think is a long shot. But anyhow, that is where we are. That is the show. That was the preview. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the next one's going to be. Hopefully, they will pull me back into liking some episodes more than others. But if it's going to be consistent with what they delivered here, with this version of WoW, as they've started up on Fremont Street with the lights in Vegas and this and all that good stuff. If they continue with the way that they presented it here, which again is theoretically supposed to be attached to an angle, but it just didn't feel like it to me. If they do that, I cannot imagine how this show would be interesting to watch. I hate to say it, but yeah, I just don't know how it could be. And that's that. We have covered it all. Relatively short because they had a relatively short set of matches, quite honestly. And I didn't need to go through every single play-by-play and blow-by-blow. So, that being said, if you are a listener and you are feeling kind, you can do the YouTube things, particularly if you're on YouTube, to like, share, and subscribe. If you are listening to this podcast on Podbean, Spotify, and greater podcast platforms everywhere, a review is always good. And please, the door is open. Send me a message, especially about the ones with the earlier inquiry. Are you getting Paramount Plus, or I should rephrase that, are you getting WoW on Paramount Plus? Are you getting WoW on Pluto TV? Are you getting WoW on Tubi TV? These are questions that should be addressed. But I don't know if anybody will, but they are questions that should be addressed. And with that, I think we can wrap this on up. So, folks, I do appreciate your time and effort and sticking with this and these reviews, especially over this last month and a half, because it was just very difficult to get through all the recap shows. It's like, why am I even bothering to watch this? But here it was better. I just certainly hope that it kind of expands or grows. And I will say one other thing before I do the official close. I already am getting the feeling that I'm going to get burnt out on watching Fremont Street. Like, it's going to be cool to see it in a different venue, in a different place the first time. Second time. Third, maybe. Fourth is probably going to be pushing it. After you get to 5 and 6, it's just going to be part of the furniture. Not going to mean anything anymore. But that's just my opinion. So, on that note, let me tell you that this is Mr. Green saying that this is Mr. Green saying so long, and we will see you on the next go round. Go to my website, WPNWrestling.com. Take care, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the WPN's Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling. If you have questions or comments, please contact us via our Facebook or our YouTube channel at the Women's Pro Wrestling Network. If you're new to the WPN, feel free to subscribe to our channel and like our page. We appreciate your support. Thank you again for listening.